Chapter 135 The Chase, Third Day. The morning of the third day dawned fair and fresh, and once more the solitary nightman at the foremast was relieved by the crowds of the daylight lookouts, who dotted every mast and almost every spar. "D'ye see him?" cried Ahab, but the whale was not yet in sight. "In his infallible wake, though, but follow that wake, that's all. Helm there, steady as thou goest, as thou hast been going. What a lovely day again. We're at new-made world and made for a summer house to the angels, and this morning the first of its throwing open to them. A fairer day could not dawn upon that world. Here's food for thought, had Ahab time to think. But Ahab never thinks, he only feels. That's tingling enough for mortal man. That's to think's audacity. God only has that right and privilege. Thinking is, or ought to be, a coolness and a calmness, and our poor hearts throb and our poor brains beat too much for that. And yet I've sometimes thought my brain was very calm, frozen calm, this old skull cracked so like a glass in which the contents turn to ice and shiver it. And still this hair is growing now, this moment growing, and heat must breed it. But no, it's like that sort of common grass that will grow anywhere, between the earthly clefts of Greenland ice or in Vesuvius lava. How the wild winds blow it. They whip it about me as the torn shreds of spilt sails lash the tossed ship they cling to. A vile wind that has no doubt blown ere this through prison corridors and cells and wards of hospitals, and ventilated them, now comes by blowing hither as innocent as it fleeces. Out upon it, it's tainted. Were I the wind, I'd blow no more on such a wicked, miserable world. I'll crawl somewhere to a cave and slink there. And yet 'tis a noble and heroic thing, the wind, whoever conquered it. In every fight it has the last and bitterest blow, running tilting at it till you but run through it. Ha, coward wind that strikes stark naked men, but will not stand to receive a single blow. Even Ahab is a braver thing, a nobler thing than that. Would now the wind but had a body, and all the things that most exasperate and outrage mortal men. All these things are bodiless, but only the bodiless are as objects, not as agents. There's a most special, a most cunning, oh, a most malicious difference. And yet, I say again and swear it now, that there's something all glorious and gracious in the wind. These warm trade winds, at least, that in clear heavens blow straight on, in strong and steadfast vigorous mildness, and veer not from their mark, however the baser currents of the sea may take and tack, and mightiest Mississippis of the land swift and swerve about, uncertain where to go at last. And by the eternal pulls, these same trades that so directly blow my good ship on, these trades are something like them, something so unchangeable, and full as strong, blow my keeled soul along. To it, aloft there, what do you see? Nothing, sir, nothing, and noon at hand. The doubloon still goes a-begging. See the sun? Aye, it must be so, I've oversailed him. How got the start? Aye, he's chasing me now, not I him. That's bad. I might have it known too. Fool, the lines, the harpoons he's towing. Aye, I've come run him by last night. About, come down all of ye by the regular lookouts. Man the braces. Steering as she had done, the wind had been somewhat on the Pequod's quarter, so that now, being pointed in the reverse direction, the brace ship sailed hard upon the breeze as she rechurned the cream over her own white wake. Against the wind he now steers for the open jaw, muttered Starbuck to himself, as he coiled the new hauled main brace upon the rail. God keep us, but already my bones feel the damp within me, and from the inside wet my flesh. I misdoubt me that I disobey God in obeying him. Stand by to sway me up, cried Ahab, advancing to the hempen basket. We should soon meet him. Aye, sir, and straightway Starbuck did Ahab's bidding, and once more Ahab swung on high. A whole hour now passed, gold beaten out to ages. Time itself now held long breaths with keen suspense. But at last, some 3 points off the weather bow, Ahab descried the spout again, and instantly from the 3 mastheads 3 shrieks went up as if the tongues of fire had voiced it. Forehead to forehead I meet thee, this third time, Moby Dick. On deck there, brace sharper up, crowd her in the wind's eye. He's too far off yet to lower. Mr. Starbuck, the sails shake. Stand over that helmsman with a topmaul. So, he travels fast, and I must down. But let me here have one more good round look aloft here at sea. There's time for that. An old sight, and yet somehow so young. Aye, and not changed a wink since I first saw it. A boy from the sandhills of Nantucket. The same to Noah as to me. There's a soft shower to leeward, such lovely leewardings. They must lead somewhere, to somewhere else, the common land, more palmy than the palms. Leeward, the white whale goes that way. Look to the windward, then, the better's in the bitterer quarter. But goodbye, old masthead. What's this? Green, aye, tiny mosses in these warped cracks. No such green weather stains on Ahab's head. There's a difference now between man's old age and matters. But aye, old mass, we both grow old together. Sound in our hulls, though we are not my ship. I minus a leg, that's all. By heaven, this dead wood has better of my live flesh in every way. I can't compare with it, and I've known some ships made of dead trees outlast the lives of men, made of the most vital stuff of vital fathers. What's that, he said, he should still go before me, my pilot, and yet to be seen again, but where? Will I have eyes to see the bottom of the sea, supposing I descend to those endless stars? And all night I've been sailing from him wherever he did sink to. Aye, like many more thou toldst direful truth of touching thyself, O Parsi. But Ahab, there thy shot fell short. Goodbye, masthead, keep a good eye upon the whale while I'm gone. We'll talk tomorrow, nay tonight, when the white whale lies down there, tied by head and tail. He gave the word, and still gazing round him, was steadily lowered through the cloven blue air to the deck. In due time the boats were lowered, but as standing in the shallop's stern, Ahab just hovered at the point of the descent, he waved to the mate, who held one of the tackle ropes on deck, and bade him pause. Starbuck, sir, for the third time my ship's soul starts upon this voyage, Starbuck. Aye, sir, thou wilt have it so. Some ships sail from their ports and ever afterwards are missing, Starbuck. Truth, sir, status truth. Some men die at ebb tide, some at low water, some at the full of the flood. And I feel now like a billow that's all one crested comb, Starbuck. I am old. Shake hands with me, man. Their hands met, their eyes fastened, Starbuck's tears the glue. Oh, my captain, noble heart, go not, go not. See, it's brave man that weeps. How great the agony of the persuasion then. Lower away, cried Ahab, tossing the mate's arm from him. Stand by the crew. In an instant the boat was pulling round close to under the stern. The sharks, cried a voice from the low cabin window there. Oh, master, my master, come back. But Ahab heard nothing, for his own voice was high lifted then, and the boat leaped on. Yet the voice spoke true, for scarce had he pushed from the ships when the number of sharks, seemingly rising from out of the dark waters beneath the hull, maliciously snapped at the blades of the oars, every time they dipped in the water, and in this way accompanied the boat with their bites. It was a thing not uncommonly happening to whaleboats in these swarming seas, the sharks at times apparently following them in the same prescient way that vultures hover over the banners of marching regiments in the east. But these were the first sharks that had been observed by the Pequod since the white whale had first been described, and whether it was that Ahab's crew were all such tiger yellow barbarians, and therefore their flesh more musky to the senses of the shark, a matter sometimes well known to affect them. However it was, they seemed to follow that one boat without molesting the others. Heart of wrought steel, murmured Starbuck, gazing over the side and following with his eyes the receding boat. Canst thou yet ring boldly to that sight, lowering thy keel among the ravening sharks and following by them open-mouthed to the chase? And this the critical third day? For when 3 days flow together in one continuous intense pursuit, be sure the first is the morning, the second the noon, and the third the evening at the end of the thing, be that end what it may. Oh my God, what is it that shoots through me and leaves me so deadly calm yet expectant, fixed to the top of a shutter? Future things swim before me as in empty outlines and skeletons. All the past is somehow grown dim. Merry girl, thou fadest in pale glories behind me. Boy, I seem to see but thine eyes grown wondrous blue. Strangest problems of life seem clearing, but clouds sweep between. Is my journey's end coming? My legs feel faint like his who's footed it all day. Feel thy heart, beats it yet? Stir thyself, Starbuck. Stave it off. Move, move, speak aloud. Masthead there. See ye my boy's hand on the hill? Crazed, aloft there, keep the keenest eye upon the boats. Mark well the whale. Ho again. Drive off that hawk. See, he pecks. He tears the vane. Pointed at the red flag flying at the main truck. Ha, he soars away with it. Where's the old man now? Seest thou that sight, O Ahab? Shudder, shudder. The boats had not gone far when, by a signal from the mastheads, a downward pointed arm, Ahab knew that the whale had sounded, but intending to be near him in the next rising, he held on his way a little sideways from the vessel, the becharmed crew maintaining the profoundest silence as the head-beat waves hammered and hammered against the opposing bow. Drive, drive in your nails, O ye waves, to their uttermost heads, drive them in. Ye but strike a thing without a lid, and no coffin and no hearse can be mine, and hemp only can kill me. Ha ha! Suddenly the waters around them slowly swelled in broad circles, then quickly upheaved as if sideways sliding from a submerged berg of ice. Swiftly rising to the surface, a low rumbling sound was heard, a subterraneous hum, and then all held their breaths as bedraggled with trailing ropes and harpoons and lances, a vast form shot lengthwise but obliquely from the sea. Shrouded in a thin, drooping veil of mist, it hovered for a moment in the rainbowed air, and then fell swamping back into the deep. Crushed 30 feet upwards, the waters flashed for an instant like heaps of fountains, then brokenly sank in a shower of flakes, leaving the circling surface creamed like new milk round the marble trunk of the whale. Give way, cried Ahab to the oarsmen, and the boat started forward to the attack. But maddened by yesterday's fresh irons that corroded in him, Moby Dick seemed combinedly possessed by all the angels that fell from heaven. The wide tiers of welded tendons overspreading his broad whale forehead, beneath the transparent skin, looked knitted together, as head-on he came churning his tail among the boats, and once more flailed them apart, spilling out the irons and lances from the two mates' boats and dashing in one side of the upper part of their bows, but leaving Ahab's almost without a scar. While Dadu and Queequeg were stopping the stained planks, and, as the whale, swimming out from them, turned and showed one entire flank as he shot by them again. At that moment a quick cry went up, lashed round and round to the fish's back, pinioned in the turns upon which, during the past night, the whale had reeled in the involutions of the lines around him. The half-torn body of the Parsee was seen, his sable raiment frayed to shreds, his distended eyes turned full upon old Ahab. The harpoon fell from his hand. Befooled, befooled, drawing in a long, lean breath. Aye, Parsee, I see thee again. Aye, and thou goest before, and this then is the hearse thou didst promise. But I hold thee to the letter of thy word. Where's the second hearse? Away, mates, to the ship. Those boats are useless now. Repair them if ye can in time and return to me. If not, Ahab is enough to die. Drown, men, the first thing that but offers to jump from this boat I stand in. That thing I harpoon. Ye are not other men, but my arms and my legs, and so obey me. Where's the whale? Gone down again. But he looked too nigh the boat, for as if bent upon escaping with the corpse he bore, and as if the particular place of the last encounter had been but the stage in his leeward voyage, Moby Dick was now again steadily swimming forward, and had almost passed the ship, which thus far had been sailing in a contrary direction to him, though for a present her headway had been stopped. He seemed swimming with his utmost velocity, and now only intent upon pursuing his own straight path to the sea. "O Ahab," cried Starbuck, "not too late is it, even now, the third day to desist. See, Moby Dick seeks thee not. It is thou that madly seekest him." Setting sail to the rising wind, the lonely boat was swiftly impelled to the leeward, by both oars and canvas, And at last, when Ahab was sliding by the vessel so near as plainly to distinguish Starbuck's face as he leaned over the rail, he hailed him to turn the vessel about and follow him, not too swiftly, at a judicious interval. Glancing upwards, he saw Tashtego, Queequeg, and Daggoo eagerly mounting to the three mastheads, while the oarsmen were rocking in the two staved boats, which had been but hoisted to the side, and were busily at work repairing them. One after the other through the portholes as he sped, he also caught flying glimpses of Stubb and Flask, busying themselves on deck among the bundles of new irons and lances. As he saw all this, he heard the hammers in the broken boats. Far other hammers seemed driving a nail into his heart, but he rallied. And now, marking the vane or flag was gone from the main masthead, he shouted to Tashtego, who had just gained that perch, to descend again for another flag, and a hammer and nails, and so nail it to the mast. Whether flagged by 3 days' running chase and the resistance to his swimming in the knotted hamper he bore, or whether it was some latent deceitfulness and malice in him, whichever was true, the white whale's way now began to abate, as it seemed, from the boat so rapidly nearing him once more, though indeed the whale's last start had not been so long as one as before. And still, as Ahab glided over the waves, the unpitying sharks accompanied him, and so pertinaciously stuck to the boat, and so continually bit at the plying oars that the blades became jagged and crunched, and left small splinters in the sea at almost every dip. Heed them not, those teeth but give new rowlocks to your oars. Pull on, 'tis better than the rest, the shark's jaw than the yielding water. But at every bite, sir, the thin blades grow smaller and smaller. They will last long enough. Pull on, but who can tell, he muttered, whether these sharks swim to feast on the whale or on Ahab. But pull on. Aye, all alive now. We pass near him. The helm, take the helm, let me pass. And so saying, two of the oarsmen helped him forward to the bows of the still flying boat. At length, as the craft was cast to one side and ran ranging along with the white whale's flank, he seemed strangely oblivious of his advance, as the whales sometimes will, and Ahab was fairly within the smoky mountain mist, which, thrown off of the whale's spout, curled round his great Monadnock hump. He was even thus close to him, when, with body arched back, and with both arms lengthwise lifted high to the poise, he darted his fierce iron, and his far fiercer curse into the hated whale. As both seal and curse sank into the socket, as if sucked into a morass, Moby Dick sideways writhed, spasmodically rolled his nigh flank against the bow, and, without staving a hole in it, so suddenly canted the boat over, that had it not been for the elevated part of the gunwale to which she then clung, Ahab would once more have been tossed into the sea. As it was, 3 of the oarsmen, who foreknew not the precise instant of the dart, and were therefore unprepared for its effects, these were flung out, but so fell that in an instant 2 of them clutched the gunwale again, and, rising on its level to a combing wave, hurled themselves bodily inboard again. The third man helplessly dropped astern, still floating and swimming. Almost simultaneously, with a mighty volition of ungraduated, instantaneous swiftness, the white whale darted through the weltering sea. But when Ahab cried out to the steersman to take new turns with the line and hold still, and commanded the crew to turn round on their seats and tow the boat up to the mark, the moment the treacherous line felt that double strain and tug, it snapped in the empty air. What breaks in me? Some sinew cracks, 'tis whole again. Oars, oars, burst upon him. Hearing the tremendous rush of the sea-crashing boat, the whale wheeled around its present blank forehead at bay, but in that evolution catching sight of the nearing black hull of the ship, seemingly seeing it in the source of all his persecutions, bethinking it may be a larger and nobler foe, of a sudden he bore down upon its advancing prow, and smiting his jaws amid fiery showers of foam. Ahab staggered, his hands smote his forehead. I grow blind, hands, stretch out before me that I may yet grope my way. Is it night? The whale, the ship, cried the cringing oarsman. Oars, oars, slope downward to thy depths, so see that ere be forever too late, Ahab may slide this last time upon his mark. I see the ship, the ship. Dash on, my men, will ye not save my ship? But as the oarsmen violently forced their boat through the sledge-hammering seas, the before whale-smitten bow ends of the two planks burst through, and in an instant almost, the temporarily disabled boat lay nearly level with the waves, its half-waiting, splashing crew trying hard to stop the gap and bail out the pouring water. Meantime, for that one beholding instant, Tashtego's masthead hammer remained suspended in his hand. The red flag, half wrapped around him as with a plaid, then streamed itself out from him as his own forward-flowing heart, while Starbuck and Stubbs, standing upon the bowsprit beneath, caught sight of the downcoming monster just as soon as he. The whale, up helm, up helm! Oh, ye sweet powers of air, now hug me close. Let not Starbuck die, if die he must in a woman's fainting fit. Up helm, I say, ye fools, the jaw, the jaw! Is this the end of all my bursting prayers, all my lifelong fidelities? O Ahab, Ahab, lo thy work! Steady, helmsman, steady! Nay, nay, up helm again! He turns to meet us. Oh, this unappeasable brow drives on toward one whose duty tells him he cannot depart. My God, stand by me now. Stand not by me, but stand under me, whoever you are that will help Stubb, for Stubb too sticks here. I grin at thee, thou grinning whale, but whoever helped Stubb or kept Stubb awake, but Stubb's own unwinking eye. But now poor Stubb goes to a bed upon a mattress that is all too soft. Would it were stuffed with brushwood. I grin at thee, thou grinning whale, look at ye, sun and moon and stars. I call ye assassins of a good fellow as ever spouted up his ghost. For all that I would yet ring glasses with ye. Would ye but hand the cup? Oh, thou grinning whale, but there be plenty of gulping soon. Why fly ye not, O Ahab, for me, off shoes and jacket with it? Let Stubb die in his drawers, most mouldy and over-salted death, though. Cherries, 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 oh flask for one red cherry ere we die. Cherries, I only wish that we were where they grow, O Stubb. I hope my poor mother's drawn my part pay ere this. If not, few coppers will now come to her, for the voyage is up. From the ship's bows, nearly all the seamen now hung inactive, hammers, bits of plank, lances, and harpoons mechanically retained in their hands, just as they had darted from their various employments, all with their enchanted eyes intent upon the whale, which, from side to side, strangely vibrating his predestined head, sent a broad band of overspreading semicircular foam before him as he rushed. Retribution, swift vengeance, eternal malice were in his whole aspect. In spite of all that mortal man could do, the solid white buttress of his forehead smote the ship's starboard bow, till men and timbers reeled. Some fell flat upon their faces like dislodged trucks. The heads of the harpooners aloft shook on their bull-like necks. Through the breach they heard the waters poured as mountain torrents down a flume. The ship, the hearse, the second hearse, cried Ahab from the boat. Its wood could only be American. Diving beneath the settling ship, the whale ran quivering along its keel, but turning under the water swiftly shot to the surface again, far off on the other bow, but within a few yards of Ahab's boat, where for a time he lay quiescent. I turned my body from the sun. What ho, Tashtego, let me hear thy hammer. O ye three unsurrendered spires of mine, thou uncracked keel, and only God-bullied hull, thou firm deck and haughty helm and pole-pointed prow, death-glorious ship, must ye perish without me? Am I cut off from the last fond pride of the meanest shipwrecked captains? O lonely death on lonely life! Oh, now I feel my topmost greatest lies and my topmost grief. Ho, ho, from all your furthest bounds pour ye in now, ye bold billows of my whole foregone life, and top this one piled comber of my death. Towards thee I roll, thou all-destroying but unconquering whale. To the last I grapple with thee. From hell's heart I stab at thee. For hate's sake I spit my last breath at thee. Sink all coffins and all hearses to one common pool. And since neither can be mine, let me now then tow to pieces, while still chasing thee, though tied to thee, thou damned whale. Thus I give up my spear. The harpoon was darted. The stricken whale flew forward with igniting velocity. The line ran through the grooves. ran afoul. Ahab stooped to clear it. He did clear it, but the flying turn caught him round the neck, and voicelessly, as Turkish mutes bowstring their victim, he was shot out of the boat ere the crew knew he was gone. The next instant the heavy eye splice in the rope's final end flew out of the stark empty tub, knocked down an oarsman, and, smiting the sea, disappeared into its depths. For an instant the boat's crew stood still, then turned. The ship, great God, where's the ship? Soon, through the dim, bewildering medium, saw her sidelong fading phantom, as in a gaseous fata morgana, only the uppermost masts out of the water, while fixed by infatuation or fidelity or fate to their once lofty perches, the pagan harpooners still maintained their sinking lookouts on the sea. And now concentric circles seized the lone boat itself and all its crew, each floating oar and each lance pole, and spinning, animate and inanimate, all round and round in one vortex, carried the smallest ship of the Pequod out of sight. But as the last whelmings intermixed, pouring themselves over the sunken head of the Indian at the mainmast, leaving a few inches of the erect spar yet visible, together with long streaming yards of flag, which calmly undulated with ironical coincidings over the destroying billows they almost touched. At that instant, a red arm and hammer hoveringly backward uplifted in the open air, in the act of nailing the flag faster and yet faster to the subsiding spar. A skyhawk that tauntingly had followed the main truck downwards from its natural home among the stars, pecking at the flag, and, incommoding testigo there, this bird now chanced to intercept its broad fluttering wing between the hammer and the wood, and, simultaneously feeling that ethereal thrill, the submerged savage beneath in his death grasp kept his hammer frozen there, and so the bird of heaven, with archangelic shrieks in his imperial beak thus upwards, and his whole captive form folded in the flag of Ahab, went down with the ship, which, like Satan, would not sink to hell till she had dragged a living part of heaven along with her, and helmeted herself with it. Now small fowls flew screaming over the yet yawning gulf. A sullen white surf beat against its steep sides. Then all collapsed, and the great shroud of the sea rolled on as it rolled 5,000 years ago. This is the end of chapter 135, the end of the last chapter. Now, there's one more chapter, an epilogue, but we have a whole bunch of things that happen in this chapter. So, in the middle of the night, they overran the whale, probably because the whale was carrying all the lines and, had harpoons at him and was slowed down. So they turned around and charged back to him. And the whale started charging, and there's a conversation between Starbuck and Ahab. Starbuck is like, look, you said 3 times you'll go after the whale. This would be the whale's undoing. Well, this could be your undoing. And Ahab is like, gotta do it. And so Ahab went out on the boat with 3 other boats. So at this point, Moby Dick has wrecked 7 boats. Has wrecked 4 boats. 3 more are going out. And we have a total of 7 boats being used at this point. So 7 is one of those numbers that's like the sign of perfection. So this is third. 3 is another one of those magic numbers. So we have 3 and 7. So these are the last boats of the 7. The third day of the attack. And you have them going after Moby Dick. And once again, Moby Dick quickly smashes Stubb and Flask's boats. And Ahab is like, go back to the ship. I got to deal with Moby Dick. And Starbuck is like, look, you have a chance. He's swimming off. You have a chance. We can just call it a day now. And Ahab is like, no, I have to do this. So Ahab at this point knows he's lost. And Moby Dick is like, fine. It goes after the Pequod and staves in the side. And so here you have the ship sinking. And Ahab is still chasing him with the boat. And he throws his last harpoon. And the line fouls, gets tangled up. And so Ahab goes to untangle. He bends over. He starts working to untangle the rope. He gets it untangled. And then a loop comes out of the bucket, wraps around his neck. Moby Dick takes off with him and the rope. The rope plays out. So Ahab is essentially hung by the tow line that he attached to the harpoon that he was planning on killing Moby Dick with. So here you have Ahab being killed like Fidalis said he would, by hemp. And, Ahab took it to mean that he was going to be hanged for something infamous, but no. It turns out he was just a moron and wasn't careful with running lines and got his head lopped off. And, they'd worried about people getting arms and legs lost like that before. And this time, he suffered the worst of it, and it was his neck and lost his head. Another thing that goes is they talked about the flag being torn off the boat by a hawk. This is a shout back to when Ahab was up on the mast, and he had his hat taken, which he took to be a good sign because somebody had his hat taken, flew off with the bird, and the bird flew back and dropped it on his head. It was a good sign. But it was pointed out then that, it was a bad sign for Ahab because the bird never came back with the hat. So that was a sign that Ahab was going to lose his head. And here the bird came and tore off the flag from the mast, which would be a sign that Ahab is going to lose the ship. And Ahab tells Tashigo to run up and put up another flag. So I guess they have another red flag, another piece of red cloth, and Tashigo starts climbing up and starts hammering, and the bird comes back. Take the flag again. But Tashigo is so single-minded, he ends up nailing the bird to the mast, and it goes down with the ship, which is just this sort of weird thing. So you have sharks all over the place. You have Ahab dead. You have no ship. You have barely one boat. Maybe that one's sinking too. The other boats are stoved in. They're stove in and they're on the deck of the Pequod, which is on its way down. And this is the end of the book except for the epilogue. And this is the end of the book except for the epilogue. One more thing and then it's done.